John Seacott, executive of Brewer. Welcome to another edition of the Brewer Podcast here on YouTube and Spotify. Make sure you're liking and subscribing both ways. Either way, we'd love to be able to make sure you're catching up with us each week. And of course, 24 hours a day. You can find us at brewermag.com. The Brewer Podcast is sponsored by Keg Logistics and Square. Running a restaurant is a lot. You start out with a vision for something special, but that vision gradually gets overshadowed by the day-to-day of it all. Well, the thing I love about Square is how it helps take some of that pressure off so you can actually enjoy why you started in the first place. Now, when Square steps in, helping you save on food costs, get your menu seen by millions on Cash App, and get delivery app payouts faster, it frees up time and mental energy in a world where both are typically in short supply. Square, here for the magic that's not on the menu. Go to square.com/goodstuff to get started. That's square.com/goodstuff. And we're also sponsored by Keg Logistics. You can go to keglogistics.com/brewermag for more details. Well, in November of last year, veteran California brewery 21st Amendment announced that they would be closing. Well, in April of this year, it was announced that Philadelphia's Evil Genius would be taking over the brand, calling it a stewardship rather than a takeover. The brand is back up on shelves in California and is soon going to be back on trucks across nearly 30 states, now under the direction of Evil Genius. I caught up this week with Evil Genius co-founder Luke Bowen to talk about this and honoring and preserving legacy brands in the craft beer space, along with the challenges involved in running more than one brand voice for one company. This isn't the first go around for Evil Genius, as they also brought back Stouts Brewery in 2022 after it closed in 2020 and continues to run that brand as well. Here's my chat with Luke in this edition of the Brewer Podcast. This Brewer Mag Podcast is sponsored by Keg Logistics. Now's the perfect time to review your keg management strategy. Whether you're seeking a truly flexible keg rental program or intrigued by the seamless distribution freedom of paper fill, Keg Logistics is ready to craft a personalized solution for you, ensuring you receive the kegs you need precisely when you need them. For details, visit keglogistics.com/brewermag. Keg Logistics, modern solutions for keg efficiency. And we're joined with Luke Bowen from Evil Genius, co-founder of the Philadelphia brand, and now also the steward of 21st Amendment. We're going to get into that. Luke, good talking to you today.
Nice talking to you too. Thanks for having me on.
So we kind of talked a little bit off air, but I kind of wanted to, start with this. When you first heard the opportunity, the 21st Amendment is available around, and, what made you believe that it was worth taking on something as the steward of what this brand going forward?
Well, we loved it. First of all, Evil Genius was started in 2011, and 21st Amendment we're from Philadelphia, and 21st Amendment has been sold in the Philadelphia market since 2009. So we have the same wholesaler in our home market. So we've literally been on tap next to them since we've been a company, and just always looked up to Sean and Nico and their brand and everything that they did. And, we're just fans. We got, especially in Pennsylvania here, it was a huge market. It's actually, PA is actually their second largest market in the country besides California, believe it or not. And so we had, we've had every beer, Hop Crisis, Sneak Attack, Monk's Blood, Toaster Pastry, Back in Black. Like we've run the gamut, and it was an opportunity that we sort of stumbled upon by accident. And we're just the ones to pick up the ball and run with it. And we couldn't be more thrilled. It's such a cool opportunity. It's such an amazing brand that people love, that people know about literally all over the country. And it's a pinch me moment for sure. It's pretty cool.
Obviously, the announcement came out around April 17th-ish or so, right before CBC gets going. So you had a lot of stuff going on there, and that's kind of wanted to wait to get to talk to you and give you a chance to breathe. What was the timeline though? Like, how long was this to forecome before you guys finally got to kind of pull the trigger and say it's happening?
Yeah, so we started talking to those guys back in the fall of 25, and had been since then, had been working on dialing in the beers, understanding really the brand's history and just its core values and all the things that really, we wanted to make sure that we carried forward, and really lined up a lot with ours. It's just kind of fun names, the branding that sort of appeals to everybody, like that. It was very much aligned with what we do at our company too. And then it was really time to like get in the lab and hunker down and really go through beer by beer, and make sure that, we really understood and our team really understood, what the team there was really trying to achieve with each beer, with, obviously tons of customers that, know it intimately. And it's really funny because the beers are similar to sort of what we do. I mean, we make a lot of fruited IPAs and fruit wheat beers. Hell or High Watermelon is a watermelon wheat, but we have a pineapple wheat beer too called I Love Lamp, right? Like, so our brewers are really familiar with, the concentrates and the, juices and everything that we were, going to use to make the beer. But we really had to make sure that we nailed it exactly, and got a lot of help from, the founders and, really kind of, shepherding us through the process to make sure the beer was the beer. And then just procurement, ordering from, all the same suppliers, same hop vendors, same malt, same can. We changed nothing, no ingredients, no artwork. Like, we didn't change a single thing, because we obviously loved the brand and wanted to keep it as it was. And then we started shipping beer first to California in the beginning of May, just to get a few things on shelves, but didn't really want to tell anybody, announce it to the world until we had beer available for customers to go out and buy. And then the timing of CBC in our hometown of Philadelphia had a lot to do with it, so never pass up a good opportunity, and got a chance to have everybody here. The original founders, Nico and Sean, came for a visit. We did a tap at Fergie's pub, legendary craft beer bar here in Philadelphia, as we opened CBC, and made a big deal out of it. So it was pretty incredible.
And it is funny because on the outside, I'm sure the overall consumer of beer, but maybe not an exact craft beer fan, will end up seeing this as, another brewery taking over another brewery. This is, something that you see happen over the last 15 years. But you guys wrote in that press release, and I like that you did, this isn't a big beer takeover. So, for people in the industry, I think they understand more, but, let's talk a little bit about that. What was the intent behind the move for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me, it was very intentional because we've done a lot of collaborations with breweries before. I mean, if you follow our brand, we've worked with other beers. We've worked with Jameson, doing part of their, Cask Mates activation program. We've done collaboration beers with Annie Ann's Pretzels and White Castle. And, we do a lot of fun things like that. And so we try to, we try to expand our horizons and learn from our peers, and, have fun with other brands that we like and think are interesting. And so really in this situation, our company is my partner, Trevor, and I mean, we founded it. We're the co-founders. We're still in the business, still running it, still best friends. And so, similar to how Nico and Sean met, two people that met at UC Davis, Trevor and I were two people that met at Villanova. So it's, if you really, kind of talking about the story of the brand, it's very similar. And so, it felt very authentic to us, and, learning about them and their partnership, and, us and our partnership, and how, our team really viewed and respected the brand too. And so we don't really see it as, like a takeover per se at all. I mean, we just see it as like having a brand that we love and that we believe in, be part of, be part of something that just, we're running now. And like, we're just grateful that, the torch was sort of passed on, with everybody's blessing, who was there. And I think, again, people are really excited. I mean, we've had so many like former team members reach out to us that were like, hey, I worked there for 10 years and I'm just so happy that, the brand is still going to be part of my life. And, the distributors are excited, the retailers are excited. So, I mean, it's, that's really the vibe. And I think like, being another independent craft brewery, working with an independent craft brewery, I think it definitely has the same feel to it as it should, because it's real, Yeah.
And the cool thing is, you now are looking at it, and you guys keep using, you used it in the press release. I've heard it mentioned, the stewardship of this. It's not, you're not taking over something. You're literally just continuing to sail the boat for you. Like, Now you're sailing the boat. What does it take to keep an iconic brand like 21st Amendment, continuing to go now forward in today's environment?
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely have to make sure the brand is the brand. It's not, it obviously we're, happy to talk about it in ways like this and shared our name in the press release, but also it's like it's not about me or about us, right? Like the brand has its own identity and its own strength and can stand on its own. Like we're not a platform, we're not a or whatever, right? Like, we just happen to be the operators. And so I think like definitely making sure that internally inside of our own company and with our own senior leadership team, people who have come from the industry and have worked for us for 7, 8, 9, 10 plus years, that everybody really got that, and we had done this once before. Like, we had worked with, legendary brewmaster Carol Stout when she retired here in Pennsylvania, working to sort of steward and continue the Stouts brand as well. So like this wasn't, this is something that we had done before. So the team felt very comfortable and, making sure that the brand retains its own identity and is literally the family's last name, right, in the brand. So, the extra special care needs to be taken to that as well. So yeah, I think that's the most important thing. Is not, oh, it's Evil Genius now presents 21st Amendment. It's like, no, we're staying out of the way. Like the brand's great. The beers are awesome. We don't need to mess it up. And that's what we're really, that I think is the most important thing.
Sure. And I'm sure you've done it once, you have a chance to do it again. Did you learn anything that when it comes to doing this, or do you think you guys laid a path for Stouts and now you're doing it for 21st and you kind of like what you're doing with it?
Yeah, I mean, we learned a ton. I mean, definitely you got to bring back there's some cool limited release beers and things that were out there that people really remember. And like, you have to make sure that, you focus on those too. But the call brands are the ones like, Hell or High Watermelon, Brew Free or Die. Like that's what everybody was just in our inbox, like flooding us with messages for where can we get it, and it's like making sure that like they know where to get those first. And then like, we've already been, test batching and flavor matching, all the fun seasonals and, Amendment Lager, El Sully, extensions like Hazy and Juicy, Brew Free. And, we're just really excited to plug away. We've got Pumpkin Haze and Fireside Chat coming this fall. So, we're bringing back the brands that people know and they expect every year from the brewery. And that I think is the most important piece. Is like you can't, you've got to make the beer that people want and that people love, and brands that have recognition in the history. And we're sometimes like people are like, oh well, it's happened, I guess, in big beer where it's like, okay, we're going to buy this brewery and then we're only going to make one beer from them, just one flagship. It's like, no, like we're not, we have a lot of seasonal and limited beers at Evil Genius. We love tinkering around and playing with things to make them fun. Like you're going to find all the 21st Amendment beers and on the shelf that you expect every year. And I think that's the biggest difference.
How does that work for you guys then on the back end, whether it be through sales, marketing, production, obviously? You had the space, I'm assuming, or are you guys having to build for that? People, like how much infrastructure and logistics is it taking for you guys to undertake something like this?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, that's a lot, obviously. I mean, but we're lucky we have help, right? So like, as even on the EG side, like we're still continuing with the brand as it was originally designed. Like we're also working with some of our partner breweries here in Pennsylvania to make the overflow to help us restock the market. And then we're also going to be setting up a production relationship with another brewery in California and brew the beer locally around San Francisco. I mean, it's so important, right, that a California beer has to come from California. But we're also going to set up East Coast supply chain too, because it costs a lot of money to ship beer across the country. So, and with like PA, Delaware, Jersey, Maryland, New York being huge markets for 21st Amendment, like we're also going to brew here on the East Coast. So I think it's going to take up a little bit of, it won't be as much pressure just on one facility sort of long term, and then we'll be able to keep the beer really fresh. And that's how we're going to do it.
I think I read or heard somewhere, saw it in a reel, who knows where it was, but 2026 is the year of nostalgia. We have a certain age group, everyone's thinking back. Do you feel like 21st Amendment can capture that, have that nostalgia thing, but you still have to make it an equitable piece of your company to continue it to go forward? How do you weigh those options when, people are so excited right now? What's it look like in a year?
I don't know. I hear a lot of Creed now and all my reels, so like I'm pretty happy about that, right? So like I mean I'm 43, right? I'll be 44 this year. Like this is our whole vibe, right? Like when we think about even Evil Genius, throwing it back to like the way we do our branding with Stacy's mom and all the nostalgia that we do. I mean that was again a reason why 21st Amendment fit right into what we think is critical in craft, and that's like telling a story and having authenticity and like a reason to be, right? And 21st Amendment already has that. So what we need to do is just not mess it up, and we just we need to just kind of like get out of the way and let the brand be the brand, and promote it obviously as something that you remember, because people are going back to beers that are tried and true and they know. 21st Amendment is a 26-year history this year of being a company, and has laid just phenomenal groundwork. So like I said, we don't want to get in the way of the brand in how it was designed and how it is in people's minds. And we just want to keep telling people about it and just telling them, hey, we're here. We're here. We're going to be here. We're excited to be back. We weren't even gone that long. The brand was really only out of the market for 60, 70 days before we actually started shipping it. So, but so it was, we did it literally right in the springtime when Hell or High Watermelon came back as a seasonal. Every year is a good launch point. That's why we waited until early 2026. And Hell or High Watermelon will be year round now, whereas before it was just a seasonal. So we get to talk about the most nostalgic beer from the most nostalgic company, literally 12 months of the year. So I think that's how we're going to really be attacking it. And then, just to, continue to pile on, innovate, like bring back beers that people love. Like we talked about that more on the seasonal side, like, Evil Genius too. Like we've brought back beers that, hey, maybe we'll give this one a rest. And then people kept blowing up our inboxes and being like, why'd you stop making that beer? And it's like, all right, well, like that was a huge mistake. So, we're going to continue to do that with 21A too. So I think it's a combination of things. I mean, we certainly don't know everything. I think there's going to be a learning experience in that too. It's going to take us probably like a whole year's worth of, like, what does it look like next year? It's going to take us a year to really figure out like, the cadence and the demand for the brand. But, thankfully we have a lot of great distributors that have sold the brand for a long, long time that have been really supportive and really helpful. And we're just going to keep learning and figuring that out as we go along.
Yeah, and it is important that, there's obviously a spreadsheet component to all of this, even though there might be the emotional high. There are those things that you have to look at those numbers. And are you looking at something that 21A did before they decided to wrap it up and then use that as kind of stepping stone to work towards? I mean, you obviously get to work with your distributors. You kind of get some background to it. How is your distributors helping you make sure that you guys aren't throwing too much out there or not having enough and being able to find that good plateau?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, like, I guess one example is there used to be a Brew for Your Die variety pack with all these different variants of Brew for Your Die, the flagship IPA from 21st Amendment. Like we're bringing that back. So we're going to bring back Blood Orange, original, hazy and juicy Brew for Your Die in a 4-pack variety for the summer. Like that's one example of something that did really well that the distributors wanted to see, and then there are some other brands that, were out there that didn't sell as well over time. And yeah, there is a spreadsheet component of it too. And, the 21st Amendment had already decided to discontinue some of those, before, we became part of the brand. So, I think you're seeing breweries do that too. But there's a lot that we get calls for, from the distributor and particularly from the retailers too, that they want to see again. And then we get to innovate. Like we're innovating in non-alcoholic versions of Hell or High Watermelon and Blood Orange Brew for Your Die right now too. So we get to take those like brand families and really kind of expand those into new drinkers and into new categories. So sort of coming back to that like centralized, theme, that sort of what's the hero brand, and that's around Hell or High Watermelon and Brew for Your Die, and then what can we do really from that. to create some additional brand equity and just sort of knowledge on behalf of the consumer, especially when they're trying something that may be a new variant or a new expression of a beer that they really loved before. So I mean, we take all those things into consideration, but thankfully over 25 years, there's a long list of recipes and a long list of things to play with. So we feel very fortunate there.
Obviously, people your age, my age, I'm a little bit older than you, understand this brand, understand what 21st Amendment means to the craft beer industry. But let's talk about Gen Z and their drinking habits. How does something like this, and even, as putting on your hat as owner of Evil Genius, like, do you see those trends? Do you see, like, can our brand move into that next generation as these younger drinkers are coming in? Will the respect that 21A has had over the years, does that equate into bringing in new consumers on something that maybe they don't have that nostalgia factor to it?
No, so that's another really good question. I mean, I think yes, the brand is relevant because people have seen it forever, and there's no substitute for time. So I think that definitely is a piece of it. The second part is can we attract those drinkers? Yeah, people want flavor. Like, they want flavor. They want they're like, everybody likes sweet. Sweet alcohol, name the category from Swedish Fish vodka to watermelon wheat, right? Like, so, we really look at it as, say with the Evil Genius portfolio, that we're set up nicely as a going concern. If, nostalgia is always going to be cool. Number one, things always become cool again, whether it's, like I said, whether it's Creed or Alice in Chains or beer, or Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls. I keep seeing that every 5 minutes on Instagram. It's hysterical. I love it. It's right up my alley. But, I think for customers that want to try a beer, it needs to be really appealing. And I think the flavors and the taste of the product, as well as your artwork, is so cool. Like, it just draws you in, and and that's one of the things about the brand I love the detail in the artwork, and I love the themes, and I think it's stunning when you see it. And then the flavor profiles and how we call out that with each beer, I think is going to drive people to, who haven't tried the beer before, to give it a try. And the flavor has kept them for 25 years, and it's going to keep them around for a long time after that.
And I think, obviously, how we're talking, it's an industry knowledge piece. People know that now you guys are running this, but in the grand scheme of things, the general consumer isn't going to see this or even know, unless they're very into it. When it comes to having 21A stand on its own again, how does it work from the back end for you guys? You guys are, is it different marketing departments? Same person running both, same teams, I guess, running both, not one person. I know you guys have more than one, but how is it working for the back for you guys when it comes to social media, sales, and everything on there, and being able to get the message out for Evil Genius and 21st, since they're going to be on the same truck sometimes, and sometimes overlapping portfolios? This Brewer Mag podcast is sponsored by Keg Logistics. Now's the perfect time to review your keg management strategy. Whether you're seeking a truly flexible keg rental program or intrigued by the seamless distribution freedom of paper fill, Keg Logistics is ready to craft a personalized solution for you, ensuring you receive the kegs you need precisely when you need them. For details, visit keglogistics.com/brewermag. Keg Logistics, modern solutions for keg efficiency. Running a restaurant is a lot. You start out with a vision for something special, but that vision gradually gets overshadowed by the day-to-day of it all. Now, the thing that I love about Square is how it helps take some of that pressure off of you, so you can actually enjoy why you started in the first place. When Square steps in, helping you save on food costs, get your menu seen by millions on Cash App, and get delivery app payouts faster, it frees up time and mental energy in a world where both are typically in short supply. Square, here for the magic that's not on the menu. Go to square.com/goodstuff to get started. That's square.com/goodstuff.
It's definitely our same team, right? Like, and our senior team has been with us for a long, long time. And because we've done this for more than one brand, this isn't our first time speaking differently, right? There's an entirely different brand strategy for 21st Amendment than there is for Evil Genius. Obviously, I'm not afraid of it. I'm here talking about it with anybody, but I don't care if anybody knows who I am or who we are, right? It doesn't matter at all. It's just really about promoting 21st Amendment and promoting that, its brands. Same with Evil Genius, right? So, we are blessed with hundreds of thousands of Instagram and social media followers between the two brands, and, tons of marketing expertise, and, internally, as well as, talking to the people that worked with 21st Amendment before. So I think we have a really good head start there. But yeah, I mean, of course, we're going to do everything that we can on the back end to, to combine forces with ordering cans and packaging and putting stuff on the same trucks, and, all of those things that you just talked about, have to factor in, and definitely did factor into this. And that's the spreadsheet part of our industry, right? But the focus really is on the beer and the brand's personality, and thankfully placing a PO for cans is the easy part, right? Like that's sort of found efficiencies if you get them. So that's what's really cool.
There's obviously been a lot of discussion both in craft and in macro when it comes to talking to craft about consolidation. Do you think craft breweries need to rethink that sort of idea going forward? And I know this has been in discussions, and we've seen a lot more of it over the last 5 to 10 years. But I think, like you guys, it's like you're protecting a brand from having to be either go away or become something that it wasn't. Do you see that as like, hey, if you are a larger brand, be protective of some of these, like let's continue. It's like a different way to rising ships. It's like, let's keep these big names that are still around.
Yeah, and I think for 21st Amendment, it wasn't a brand issue. It just right. They everybody got caught up with big breweries, right? That a lot of overhead, and I think I probably would have made the same decision at one point, right? Like, craft was growing at the rate we were growing. Money was free. Every bank was lining up to give you a loan, right? Like, I totally get it. And I think for, should people reconsider it? I think that there definitely is a stronger together mentality that I think a lot of people have, and that we really, embrace sort of in our company. We like to work with other people, and like to work, with things that are, that are beyond Evil Genius. I mean, 21st Amendment is a bigger company than us, right? So like, we believe strongly that, kind of collaboration and, working with brands, is really the future. I mean, you saw like what Firestone and Stone announced not long after, a couple of days after we made our announcement, right? Like, so we're not the only ones thinking this way. And, huge respect to both of those companies for their legacy and history and everything that they're doing and have done. So, we're just kind of part of it, right? And I think, we're thinking in a way that is, reflects the current kind of market and what we predict the future to be. And we're not done. Like, we don't want this to be the last thing that, we work on together, potentially with other founders or without them, like we want this to be part of kind of our strategy going forward. And, think there are lots of great brands and lots of great people who are thinking the same way, and we want to get to know them.
Yep. And I say, it was in the press release, we're open for business. Like that obviously is a call to, like, let's not lose these names that maybe things aren't going as well as they could have been, because you see obviously the way the industry has turned. We don't want them to close and lose the brand, like be it gone. Let's work with other people, be able to continue to bring it out. So kudos to you guys for looking and seeing that, and I think it's a great opportunity as well. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, and I said we wanted a little philosophical things as well. What patterns concern you most from a leadership standpoint when you look at, and you don't have to obviously pinpoint any breweries per se, but when you're looking at breweries that are struggling or have heard, in the last few years, the year and a half, because we've had hundreds of closings. What's something that is concerning that you think that if you're talking to another brewery owner, you got to look for this, because this is a warning sign or things to avoid?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to really love it. Like, you got to love it. Like, just be obsessed with it, right? Like, this is this was my first choice of a career. This is what I want to do. Like I can't imagine having any other job. So like that's I think the biggest thing. It's like it has to be like your obsession when you wake up in the morning. I think that's that's really the biggest thing. And that's with any job. You know, I think beer naturally like has that built in because it's so fun and it does like bring people together. And I think it's easy to lose sight of that at different times when, you know, the job is hard. You know, and it is hard just like everything else, right? But I bet you life would be hard if I was an accountant instead of this too, right? Like, so just choose your hard. So I think that's definitely something that I look for and that I have to be reminded of. It's like, hey, you still get to do somebody else's dream job or the job that you thought was your dream job before you got into it, right? Like regardless of what anybody else thinks, like it's no, this was like your favorite job that you wanted to have and you still get to do it. So continue to like be grateful for that. And I think that's a big one. You know, that we all have to remember. And then, you know, with with this edition and kind of what we're doing here with 21st Amendment, it just like reignites that fire, right? Because like now we still get to do this job, but we get to play with the new toy, right? So like, you know, so like it's like that's what gets me like really jazzed up is that, you know, I still get to work in beer, but I also like literally I get a whole new job all over again, which is really cool, but doing the same thing. So you know, I definitely think like loving it, being obsessed over it, I think are the most important things that you can do. And the most important traits I think that you can have is we're talking to people or talking to founders and some of them just want to retire and like, that's okay. You know, they've been doing it for so many years and they've been trailblazers and, you know, maybe their kids don't want to take over the business. They don't have any interest, right? That classic story that's no different in this industry than anyone else's, right? So, you know, that just provides opportunities for, you know, people who are still hungry and still, you know, want to do this. And, you know, we, like I said, we're open for business and welcome those chances to talk to people.
What do you think brewery ownership requires now today that it didn't 10 or 15 years ago? You know, if there's someone that's trying to open or someone that is just thinking, like I like to think, what would you have told yourself at 28 years old when you guys were first launching off? Like this is going to happen and you have to think about it.
Agility. I think I definitely think when we first started, I definitely remember like, okay, we had a plan and this was the way the plan was going to go. And then this was going to happen. And then when that happened, we did this. And when that happened, and there's still some of that, right? Like, you know, even today, but you know, you've got to just be able to jump from log to log, right? Like, and just have a lot of that in you where, you know, nothing is totally sacred, right? Like you have to be able to challenge your way of thinking and, hey, this is how we've always done it isn't a good enough answer, right? Like I think that those are really big things that, you know, as you venture into entrepreneurship or you become an entrepreneur, and I've been gainfully unemployed now for 18 years. So I haven't had a job for a long time. So like I know this in the hard way too, not just the fun way. But I also do believe that agility is and being malleable is super important right now, more so than ever as things change. And, you know, just like, you know, we started Evil Genius, you know, coming out of the recession in 2008 when we knew we weren't going to get jobs again. And so we were like, well, we might as well start our own thing and create our own job. You know, we view this as another mini recession moment, right? And so sometimes the greatest opportunities happen when things are a little bit in flux, and that's what we're doubling down on right now.
Well, those are the hard questions. Now we'll have the fun questions to wrap things
All right.
up. So I appreciate you talking about that, and it's always great to talk business, but let's get a little bit of fun stuff to wrap things up. So I'll throw a few out here for you. How about this one? You get to rename a hop, like you totally get to make up a new name for it. What would be your first pick, and what would you rename this hop?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh wow. Because they just released all the UFO files. I'd call Galaxy Aliens Are Real. That's what
There you go. Perfect. And maybe you had a good time. You got to have a lot of great dinners, talk to a lot of great people at CBC. But if you got to host a beer dinner with anyone, doesn't have to be beer, doesn't have to be alive, they can be dead, alive, beer or not. who do you want those three people at the dinner table with you?
Oh wow. Um, who would I? Oh, if I hosted a beer dinner, um, well, I definitely one person. I'll shout him out. The person who inspired me to get into the beer business. His name is Al Spinelli. He worked at Rolling Rock and at City Brewery and Sierra Nevada for a long time, and he was a person that inspired me to get into this business. So I would love to invite him to that beer dinner for what that's worth. Um, I definitely think my grandmother who's passed. I know that's super cheesy, but she really loved her grandkids, and like she died when I was like in college, and always thought I would do something fun and creative. So I would love to toast her. So I think that would be fun. And then yeah, and then I have a 2-year-old little girl, and I know she couldn't drink beer, but it would be cool to like do something like that with her, so that she remembers, that hey, dad was away, but he still got to do some fun things, and she still got to come along for the ride. So I know that's super cheesy, but I'll pick those three people.
That is awesome. What is the most ridiculous or unexpected thing you've ever been asked to do at a previous job? And like you said, you've been gainfully unemployed for a long time. So what was something in your youth that you're like, why am I doing this?
I had an internship, and I took a lot of orders for Starbucks in my internship. Took a lot of Starbucks and Dunkin' Donut orders, and I filled them, and I gleefully never complained. I've done all the dirty. I've done every job at Evil Genius, from cleaning the bathrooms to making sandwiches to make the beer. I'm not above any job, but like there was definitely like I definitely had internships or entry level jobs, and I was like, hey, I'm fine to do the work, but you got to also, like, on the other side, you got to teach me something too, right? Like I'll grab coffee and donuts, but you got to also like give me a chance to like spread my wings a little bit. And thankfully, most of the jobs I've had were pretty cool. And except for the last one I had, what day is this? May 11th.
Yeah.
We're a couple days after my unemployment anniversary. I quit my last job, hopefully I'll ever have, in May of 2008, when I got a nasty email from my boss, and I just had that like Jim Brewer moment, when he just freaks out. Is like, dude, I'm out of here, which I highly recommend that everybody do at one time in their life. It is so awesome when you just like, just like, nope, dude, screw this. I'm gone. I'm done. Like, I totally recommend that. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a mix, but also that's another part of being your own boss. There's no job that you don't do. There's no such thing as that's not my job description. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'll wrap it up with this one. Do you have a Malort story?
Yeah. So during COVID, during COVID, we were doing all those like virtual happy hours where we were like sending drinks to each other, So like we were dropping bottles off at like our friends' like front porches in the city, who we like wanted to have like virtual happy hours with. And obviously, like, I had the brewery, so like we were dropping Evil Genius to everybody, and people running over. And somebody like for a virtual happy hour like brought Malort, and like or gave us all Malort, and made everybody drink it on camera in front of everybody else. And there were some people that were, I have an iron stomach. I've been doing beer for a long time. So, yeah. But yeah, no, there were some people that had tried it for the first time that were, or let's just say, not impressed. But now, some people we've turned on, now they're all drinking Fernet and all different types of Amaros. And, so you're just like, hey man, you just gotta try it once, right? Like, you gotta try it. You never know what you're gonna like. And so that was, for me, I thought it was child's play, but there were some people I definitely laughed a little bit as their faces turned red when they took their first sip. So it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm in your camp. It doesn't bother me, and I love torturing people to like either threaten that they're gonna have to do it, or I just make them do it. Like, I was at a beer festival, and my buddy had a flask of it, and I just handed it to my wife and said, just drink this. And I'm glad that it was, because it was in a flask. It's really hard to smell. So she just kind of tilted it back, and she's like, what the hell was that? I'm like, she's like, was that gasoline? And I'm like, no, it's not gasoline. I'm like, it's worse.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Oh, that's awesome. No. And, I put that up there with like being like iced at my wedding and stuff like that. There's those times with the the unexpected just horror of knowing what you're about to consume. So,
exactly.
but no, it's incredible. That's a great question. That's a funny one. Yep.
Yeah. Well,
That's
awesome.
throwing it back.
I appreciate you taking the time, Luke, and best of luck, with the 21st Amendment and, Evil Genius continuing on for you guys. So thanks for joining us on the podcast.
No, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
This Brewer Mag podcast is sponsored by Keg Logistics. Now's the perfect time to review your keg management strategy. Whether you're seeking a truly flexible keg rental program or intrigued by the seamless distribution freedom of paper fill, Keg Logistics is ready to craft a personalized solution for you, ensuring you receive the kegs you need precisely when you need them. For details, visit keglogistics.com/brewermag. Keg Logistics, modern solutions for keg efficiency.